Hello, and welcome to another episode with Healthcare Compliance Solutions, where we interview the CEOs of our partners and discuss different healthcare solutions to help doctors and business owners of healthcare practices learn how to do more with less. Now, today I'm joined by a friend. I hope we're becoming friends, that we're partners with Healthcare Compliance Solutions, and this is Anthony Castorani, the CEO of Crossroads Technologies. So today we're going to talk a little bit about what led up to this, but before we get into that, we're going to discuss a little bit about Anthony and his life and his journey into becoming the CEO of this great company. We have certainly appreciated the relationship so far, and for our customers, Crossroads Technologies is a solution for IT management. We know we have several of you that have said, hey, we could use a solution after we've gone through the risk assessment. We need an IT management company, and this is who we want to recommend. And so some questions right off the bat. In high school, what would you say people would have viewed you as? Would you say you were more of a jock, a preppy, an IT guy back then? How would you describe yourself back in high school?
Well, thank you, Lance, for the incredible introduction. I would describe myself in high school on a hybrid. I really was a hybrid. I wasn't as much of a jock as maybe I was a creative and musician type. But I was also not as interested in academics as I am actually today. But there were things that interested me very much back then, such as history, but unfortunately, and science. But unfortunately, math was never a strong point. I don't know of many that it was a strong point with.
Yeah,
but I was a hybrid, definitely, in high school.
Okay. Now, before we went live, we talked a little bit about what life was like. I heard that you were in a band. So do you mind talking a little bit about how when you got started in a band and what kind of music you played?
Sure. So I got into music, and a bunch of our friends got into music. We were 16 years old. We formed a heavy metal tribute band to Iron Maiden, and we played for approximately 4 years. We had a great time doing it, mostly clubs and bars, your typical scene, and really, I've always had a love for music. Don't get to play as much today as as we did back then, but it was an absolutely awesome opportunity to treat the world to something that I liked, be able to have fun doing it. We never really did it for the money at all, because when you're an amateur band, there is no money in it. So you're spending more on your equipment rental and buying your your instruments than you are enjoying any kind of revenue from it. So we enjoyed the 4 years that we spent together as a band, being able to do those things. We have a lot of great memories from it.
Sure.
It did help define our lives in a certain way. It really did.
Where did you fit in the band? Were you a guitarist?
So I was a bass player.
Okay.
And we would also dabble. So some of us would interdabble in different songs and go and pick up a different instrument. So I would dabble in rhythm guitar, never got to lead because I just did not have the finger dexterity necessary to be a lead guitarist. But I did an excellent job at being a bass player, and when there were songs that I particularly liked that I wanted to partake in and be part of the rhythm, I would grab the rhythm guitar. And sometimes we would even have a total of 3 guitars going at the same time
Wow.
in the band. If you understand the tribute, the band that we were paying tribute to, which is Iron Maiden, they usually play at least 2 guitars in most of their sets. Sometimes as many as 3.
Okay.
And it just sounds absolutely amazing when you kind of put some of your own life into the music and change it just a little bit, something that maybe the band never did that you wanted to try and do, and so you would do it. And usually the crowds would really love that little bit of extra emphasis that we would give, or the extra piece of harmonics you could introduce by having a 3rd guitar where it never existed before.
Okay.
They were very interesting.
So
we like to be creative.
4 years. 4 years.
We did that for 4 years.
Okay.
Really, I guess that kind of came to the aha moment of life where, when you reach 20, you kind of reach that age and you go, well, is this going to be the rest of my life? Do I really want to partake of being in a band, trying to make this work, do what a lot of other people try and do and move to LA and try and make a career of it? Is this the kind of career I want? And what is our real opportunity at doing it? At that time, we kind of all agreed, like, we had a great run. We were great amateurs at it.
Right.
We don't know if we really had it in us to be completely professional. So really came to aha moment of, I need to decide what is the real career choice here. All through school, technology has always been in my life.
Okay.
So this never was something I got into for money. This was something I got into because I loved it. I breathed it all the time. You're talking about a guy who was, in 7th grade programming on an old Commodore VIC-20 and eventually on an Commodore Amiga. So anybody who remembers those names, they know then exactly how old I really am.
There you go.
But technology came natural to me, and so got into the technology field, worked for a number of different organizations, which ultimately led me then to 1996, where we started Crossroads. The reason why Crossroads started was actually a very simple, fundamental requirement, which is take care of the customer. Because of the other companies and organizations that I worked with, they really did not do a very good job at taking care of their customers. They disregarded them. It was more about money and fluffy marketing than it was about delivering a good customer experience, believing in the customer and everything that you needed to do to support them.
So was there some, if you don't mind me backing up just a second, so that's a very unique way to move into business, to say I want to take care of the customer. Certainly a lot of people will say that, but oftentimes they're more driven after making a buck.
They are.
Or doing something because it elevates their status in the community and to prove a point, a number of reasons.
Yeah.
Was there some advice that you were given or something that helped you to have that kind of a vantage point, because it is a very unique perspective?
I've never done anything in life because it was the big money maker. That's why I'm really not good with real estate, because I really don't believe in some of the real estate practices of today. That's why I'm not a billionaire, because I really don't know if I really want that responsibility of being a billionaire.
Well, and you're a family guy too.
And I'm very much a family guy, and I like to enjoy my wife and children and enjoy the time I spend with them, and not be tied to an airplane all the time, and not be tied to every customer requirement that wants somebody important on site. In the end, it was never about money. It was just about making sure that we did the right thing. And one of our virtues here is that, if you do the right thing, you'll be taken care of. Your customers will pay a fair invoice. They will, want to engage you further. They will want to do all the right things with you if you are right with them. That's what's carried us now 20 years, is the fact that, we are a very honest and upfront company. We're going to tell our customers exactly what we feel they need to hear. Sometimes that's good and sometimes it's not. Sometimes a customer may need to hear things that they're not going to like to hear, but they need to know because if you have a defense attorney and you're in need of a defense attorney, you want to hear the truth from them.
Yeah.
You don't want to hear what they just want, what you want to hear.
Right.
So it's very important that we always had that philosophy here, to always help the customer. But most importantly was to always take 100% accountability for everything that we did,
Yeah.
everything that we promised, and make sure that there was never a gap for our customers. That was very critical.
So how have things changed? You started with the customer in mind, and actually, how did things begin? So you first saw that there was a need to have excellent customer service for IT management, IT services. So would you mind unpacking kind of how things started and how things have evolved?
Sure. So, when we started, it was in 1996.
Okay.
It was 4 of us working out of a small room, not a garage. I would love to say that we started in a garage like everybody else, but we didn't.
Cardboard box,
Right.
card table.
No, we started in a small room.
Okay.
And we just began with the philosophy of this is what we do.
Yeah.
We don't deviate from it.
Right.
Even when when the customer may be asking us or the prospect might be asking us to do something that goes against that philosophy, we should not do it, and we should let them know why we don't want to do that. Even if it means that we can't do business with them, I'd rather that they know why we said we shouldn't.
Right.
And how it might not benefit them. And when that has happened, we've always won the loyalty of the customer.
Do you have an example that comes to mind?
A great example, is our IT management services. And I know this isn't an interview to push us and our IT management services, but it really is a great example because what we do for our customers is an all-inclusive fee that covers absolutely everything. We become that organization's IT department.
Okay.
There's nothing we don't do.
That's
There's
really
nothing we don't take over. There's no finger pointing saying it's this guy and that guy and you've got to call this guy and that guy. We take over 100% accountability for that. So if you've got software and we may never used it before, we're going to learn it just like you would hire any other new IT person for your organization. We will learn the softwares necessary. We will pick up and do all the things that a new IT person in your company would do.
Okay.
When we are asked to deviate from that and customers ask us, can I just pay reactively? And I go, do you understand what reactively really means? If you're paying for blocks of time and we're not incented, and there's no engineer in the world that can say that they're incented to solve their problem faster when you're paying by the hour or you're paying to have time deducted by the hour. Mm-hmm. But imagine if you're paying for something that regardless of whether you call 5 times or 50, your bill every month is the same, and the earnest is on the organization to get you up and running and get you fixed. That changes the aspect and it changes the entire outcome of what a client can expect from us.
Right.
So we will let people know we really don't do that. It is really against what we really believe in as a philosophy.
Okay.
It's not beneficial to you. Sure, I could win your business right now, but I really feel that in 12 months, you're really not going to be approving of all the things that have happened in that relationship because you may feel disenfranchised. You may have felt like you paid extra or you paid and it took longer to get things resolved than it would have to just simply have known that the earnest is on these people to fix everything, to get my infrastructure back up, to ensure that my people are, adequately taken care of and functional and productive, all under one fee, regardless of how many times we call. And we do win a lot of business when we finally sit down and we're able to really show the map of exactly what you're really getting, what you're paying for, why you should do it this way, and most importantly, what that relationship looks like, not now, but 3 and 5 years down the road. Okay. A lot of people get into small business today, and they feel like, I am getting into this, and I'm thinking for the here and now. They're not thinking about the 3 and 5 years out plan. Right. They're making decisions based on what I need now and what I need 6 months from now, but not what I need 2, 3, 5 years from now.
Right.
When people take that into consideration, that's when their companies and their initiatives can finally evolve. So we help them get to that point. But that is one of the things that helps us, really paint a picture to the customer, to the prospect of how life really should be like in the IT world and how their infrastructure should be utilized best in order to make them productive. And most importantly, is making sure that they feel that they have gotten a fair engagement, not an engagement that is one-sided.
Right.
We don't believe in those.
So, so has there been a time where you've felt that there has been a disconnect? I mean, it seems like you're very well connected with your customers, but has there been anything as you've evolved, any specific situation you can think of that's caused you to improve on your engagement and in implementing your services?
Oh, well, every time. I would say that anytime a customer can offer us, a constructive critique, or tell us that, this took a little bit longer than we expected for this particular case to get solved, we always like to examine that and say, well, what is it that we could have done differently? Was it something that we did not do good? Is it something that we should have done better?
Yeah.
The best thing that a customer can do is voice their opinion, whether it's good or bad. The worst thing that a customer could do is never voice an opinion in any direction.
Right.
Let us know if there's something we're not doing well, if there's an engineer that's not, that's not holding their water, if you're not getting problems taken care of. Most importantly, is keeping a clear line of communication open. And so we do attempt to do that very much so, sometimes to an over degree, with our customers and all the stakeholders, respective to those customers, and really keep them in the loop of not only new things that are happening with the industry, but new things that are happening in their own organization.
Okay.
A lot of customers kind of have a set it and forget it mentality with technology.
Yep.
I have it and I put it in a closet and I shut the door and I hope to not have to touch it again because I know it's going to cost a lot of money to do so.
Right.
We really try and get them out of that mentality that, listen, you don't have to put it in a closet, shut it and forget it. It comes down to you have to know that the decisions you make now actually impact you tremendously in 3 years and in 5 years.
Right.
Investment-wise, software-wise.
Yeah.
The biggest mistake that companies can make today is simply not having a plan. Whatever the plan is, but not having a plan, not having a vision for where they need to go.
Right.
Once they have that vision, they need to stick to it and make decisions that along the way aid to the successful implementation of that vision.
So I'm curious, there are a lot of people watching that have likely just started a practice and perhaps they've had somewhat of a vision to start to go to school, to start the practice, then they start bringing staff on. Have you had anybody give you any advice on how to develop vision, or what would be some of your recommendations?
The best way for any new business owner, and physicians, they are physicians, but you are also business owners.
Right.
And it's very important for physicians and anybody in the healthcare world to also know that you are a business owner, and even if you are a physician and a partner in the practice, you are a business owner. The best way to approach vision is to understand for yourself first, where is it that I need to go? Where am I envisioning that this practice needs to go?
Yeah.
Who am I going to be taking care of? Why am I any different than the 5 other doctors, 5 miles around me?
Right.
What makes me different? What makes me better? What is going to enable my particular health practice, whatever it might be, to be successful?
Okay.
The first thing, honestly, is it's not about you. It's not about you, the physician, you, the health practitioner. This is about your patients.
Right.
And in our aspect, we have our own patients, which is the IT professionals that we work with, the business owners and stakeholders of the world that we work with.
Sure.
And you are our boss. So as a healthcare practitioner, your patient is your boss.
Yeah.
And you must listen to them.
That's instructive.
It's critical.
Yeah.
It's critical. I take that from, being a patient with doctors.
Yep.
And, the successful doctors are the ones who listen to their patients and don't look at all the analytics alone.
Right.
But they look at analytics along with the patient, the person, and what they're saying, they feel ails them.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that patient is going to know more than you do as a health practitioner. They're not going to know how to solve it, but they're going to know that inside something's wrong. I don't feel like I usually feel like.
Exactly.
So they have to listen.
Right.
That is what will make a successful healthcare practitioner in today's day and age. A lot of people, and I can really take a page out of one of the discussions I've had with my own personal physician,
Okay.
Who's been around for quite a long time. And, he does believe in today's electronic medical records, and he does asterisk that when he says, but, a lot of doctors of today are being trained to only look at analytics, and they're not being trained to look at the person. And that is a big difference. And what will make a big difference is that, as a healthcare practitioner, go beyond just what you are taught in whatever field you're in, whether you're a therapist or a physician's assistant, or you're a full, DO.
Right.
Listen to your patient and what they're telling you, because even if you may not agree with it, you may learn something from it. But most importantly, that patient knows that you've listened.
Yeah.
And that's what we do with our customers.
Right.
We make sure they know we've listened, we've heard, and we've gotten our marching orders from them.
Right, and we've heard that several times in this discussion that you've started with the customers, your organization has grown with the customer of mine, and that's really led your vision in looking down the road. Quick question about IT management. So, first, who are some of your ideal practices that you work with?
Well, the ideal practices, in healthcare, and we work with a vast cross-section from major hospital systems and health insurers, and the largest health insurers in the world,
Okay.
Down to the single physician, 3-person practice that just absolutely has zero skills or capabilities to perform anything. What it comes down to is really, it's a vast cross-section. It's hard to say we focus on one thing in the healthcare industry. We've been around the healthcare industry for 20 years. The focus and the vast cross-section comes back to, it's an organization that understands that they have a lack of capability within their technology environment. And that could be a number of different things. It could be from medical billing issues and actually not even having the capability of fully operating an EMR so that they can fully document everything electronically on an iPad or a tablet of some sort, all the way to larger practices who absolutely want no internal staff whatsoever. They just want to know that they can call and have whatever IT problems that they need taken care of 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Because nothing can make for a more irate physician than not being able to log into his EMR at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I think everyone that probably listened to that can agree to that. When you get a phone call, the last thing you want to do is have a problem logging in, or not being able to get your email, or not being able to look at the electronic record you need to look at in order to fulfill a prescription, or be able to make decisive action on someone potentially in the midst of a critical emergency. So what we do for the healthcare world is deliver to them a management solution that isn't a product solution. It's not packaged. I can't show you a license. It is a bundle of different things, from managing the environment, putting our softwares on it, as well as taking care of the people and the environment so that they don't experience downtimes.
Well, this brings us to the end of another great episode of the Dr. Entrepreneur Podcast. We hope you've taken notes and learned several ways of helping you have more time providing superior patient care by being able to outsource some of these services and perhaps even thought of different ways of delegating some of the tasks that you already have to staff. Now, if you'd like to be on the show or have any questions you'd like answered by our guest, Anthony Castorani, then email podcasthcsi@gmail.com. I, again, hope you found a lot of valuable learning about this IT management service. There's a lot to explore, a lot we talked about after the show in terms of some of the holes in a lot of companies' healthcare IT programs, and as well as a lot of the trends that are taking place within IT that people really need to think about. And we're actually going to bring their company into a webinar or perhaps another podcast in the future so we can talk more in depth on some of these. We just didn't have a lot of time to cover everything. Also, we'd really appreciate if you'd take a minute to rate the podcast episode on iTunes. You can just type in HCSI, or you can type in the Doctor Entrepreneur. And if you find a lot of value in this episode, you can also check out our show notes on hcsi.blogspot.com. That's hcsi.blogspot.com. And today's show has been brought to you by Healthcare Compliance Solutions, Inc., the online compliance solution for OSHA, HIPAA, Medicare, and employment law for small to mid-sized practices and business associates. And you can learn more about us by contacting our support team at support@hcsiinc.com, or just go to the website at hcsiinc.com. Well, I'm Lance King. I've been your host today, and we'll be back to explore another great healthcare service in another great episode next week. Looking forward to connecting again soon. Make it a great day, providing superior patient care to your community. Thanks.